Welcome to the X-Files. And before you click away thinking this is another one of those sad, desperate 10 texts to make them come crawling back videos, let me stop you right there. This is not that channel. We do not do that here. What we do here is something far more interesting, far more useful, and honestly, far more entertaining. We perform autopsies. Not on people, relax, but on relationships. On the stories you have been telling yourself since the moment things fell apart. Today, episode 5 of our first season, The Anatomy of the Aftermath. We are going in deep. Scalpel ready. Gloves on. Let's find out exactly what died, why it died, and most importantly, what you can build from the wreckage. Episode 5 is called Cognitive Reframing, and the subtitle is The Story of You. And I need you to pay attention to that word, story. Because everything you have been feeling since your breakup, every sleepless 3 a.m. spiral, every time you stalked their Instagram just to confirm they looked slightly less happy without you, all of that is not reality. It is a story, a narrative, a script you have been running on repeat in your head. And here is the part that most breakup content will never tell you, because it does not sell courses or get desperate clicks at 2 in the morning. You wrote that story, and you can rewrite it. But first, let us talk about where this whole thing starts, because understanding the mechanism is half the battle. Here is the hook for today, and I want you to actually sit with this one. You are not alone. You are unencumbered. Read that again. You are not alone. You are unencumbered. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that sounds like something printed on a motivational poster in a dentist's waiting room. But hang with me, because there is a genuinely profound philosophical engine underneath that idea, and it has been around for nearly 2,000 years. Enter Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who, and this is important context, was literally a slave. A man who had zero control over his physical circumstances, and yet became one of the most psychologically free human beings in recorded history. His handbook, the Enchiridion, which is Greek for within hand, essentially a pocket guide to not losing your mind when life goes sideways, contains an idea that is almost aggressively relevant to your situation right now. He argued that it is never the external event that causes your suffering. It is always, always your judgment about the event, your opinion of it, the interpretation you assign to it. So let me apply that directly to your breakup, because this is where it gets uncomfortably accurate. The breakup happened. That is a fact. It is a neutral data point in the universe. Two people, previously in a relationship, are now not in that relationship. That is it. That is the whole event. Everything else, the devastation, the shame, the midnight obsessing, the imaginary future you are grieving, the version of yourself you think you lost, that is all commentary. That is all the story you are layering on top of a simple fact. And Epictetus would look at you, probably with the compassion of someone who has been through actual chains, and say, the breakup is not hurting you. Your opinion of the breakup is hurting you. Now I want to be clear about something, because this philosophy gets weaponized sometimes in the worst possible way, and I refuse to do that. Acknowledging that your interpretation creates your suffering does not mean your pain is not real. It does not mean you should just snap out of it, or that grief is weakness. Your feelings are completely valid. But here is the distinction that changes everything. Valid does not mean permanent, and real does not mean true. The story you are telling yourself right now, the one that sounds like I was abandoned, I was not enough, I will probably be alone forever, that story feels real. It feels like fact. But it is not fact. It is a first draft. A rough draft. And rough drafts are supposed to be rewritten. So let us talk about the two stories. And I want you to honestly, Genuinely, maybe uncomfortably ask yourself which one you have been living inside. Story number 1. I was abandoned. Someone looked at me, at all of me, and decided I was not worth keeping. I gave everything, and it was not enough. I am now alone in a world where everyone else seems to be paired up and moving forward while I am standing in the rubble of something I thought was going to be my life. That story is heavy. That story is suffocating. And a terrifying number of people live in that story for months, sometimes years, sometimes decades after a relationship ends. Story number 2. I was released, not discarded. Released to pursue excellence, to build a life that is no longer defined by accommodating someone else's limitations, fears, or incompatibility with who I actually am. I now have time, energy, mental bandwidth, and creative capacity that was previously allocated to something that was not working. I am not starting over. I am starting from a more honest place. Both of these stories are about the same event. One of them destroys you. One of them builds you. The only thing separating them is your decision about which one to inhabit. Now here is where we get practical, because philosophy without application is just expensive decoration. We are doing journaling exercises today, and before you roll your eyes at journaling, let me tell you something. The most mentally resilient, high-performing, genuinely thriving people throughout history, from Marcus Aurelius, whose personal journals became the meditations that literally changed Western philosophy, to modern athletes, executives, and psychologists, they all journal. Not because it is soft, because it works. Because the act of writing a thought externalizes it. It moves it from the fog of your subconscious to the page where you can actually see it, interrogate it, and choose whether you want to keep it. Exercise 1. Write down, unfiltered, the story you have been telling yourself since the breakup. Every ugly, dramatic, painful sentence. Do not edit it. Do not soften it. Let it be as dark and catastrophic as it actually sounds in your head at 3 in the morning. Get it all out. Fill a page. Fill 2. This is not about wallowing. This is about diagnosis. You cannot treat a wound you refuse to look at. Exercise 2. Now go through that story and circle every sentence that begins with I am, or I will never, or I always, or no one will ever. These are called cognitive distortions. They are the dramatic generalizations your brain makes when it is in pain. They feel like truths. They are almost never truths. They are symptoms. Exercise 3. And this is the one that actually changes things. Take each of those distorted sentences and rewrite them through the lens of Epictetus. Not toxic positivity, not pretending everything is fine, but genuine, honest reframing. Change. I was abandoned, to I was released from a dynamic that was not serving my growth. Change. I am not enough, to I was not the right fit for that specific person in that specific season, and that is information, not a verdict. Change. I will be alone forever, to I am currently unencumbered and building the version of myself that will attract something far more aligned. Do this slowly. Do this honestly. And do not skip first exercise because you think you can jump straight to the good stuff. The diagnosis comes before the treatment. Always. Here is what I want you to walk away with today. You have been the author of a story that is actively limiting your future. You did not choose that story intentionally. Pain wrote it for you in a hurry. But now you know it is a story, and that means you have the power to pick up the pen. You are not starting over. You are not alone. You are unencumbered. You are the protagonist of a story that has not been written yet. And episode 5 just handed you the pen. The X-Files is not a breakup channel. It is a construction site. And today, we poured the foundation. If this hit differently than you expected, if something in here made you pause and actually think, do me a favor and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that real substantive content is worth showing to people who actually need it. Subscribe if you are ready to keep building, because next episode we go even deeper. Share this with someone who is stuck in story number 1 right now. They need this more than they know. And drop a comment below telling me which sentence from your old story you are rewriting first. I read every single one. See you in episode 6.